Hey guys, welcome. Dr. Greg here, and I'm going to start with a quick video to get us started.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide. The average Canadian will spend their last 10 years in sickness.
Yeah, I used to watch that video to I think that video is from like 2013 or something like that, but I used to watch that every day. I would say for about a year before I'd go into practice. And that might sound a little weird, but I'd call that getting into state or getting my mind ready, just realizing the burden that people have for their health and how it affects people. So like heart disease, it's personal to everyone. It's especially personal to me. You know, when I was 13 years old, I was in the 9th grade. I had just finished my final exams. It was like my first semester of high school. And I just finished final exams, was headed into Christmas break, was excited about that. And I'll never forget this. I was walking down the road with my friend, and my uncle, one of my uncles, pulled alongside me, and he said, "Hey, did you hear about your granddad?" And he had this real, like, serious kind of solemn look on his face, and I was like, "No." And he said, you know, he had a stroke. And I kind of was like a little jaded because he had been in and out of the hospital and he had had problems with his heart over the last few years, and I didn't really react. And he's like, "No, Greg, it's really bad." So he drives on. I end up walking to my friend's house, and not 10 minutes later, my dad and my mom called me on the phone and explained to me that my grandfather had a stroke and he was in a coma, and it was terminal. He was going to die. It was just a matter of when. And he was 70 years old. Like, I used to think that was old. You know, I'd be offending many people listening to this. And less than 2 days later, you know, family flew in, you know, flew in from all over. And I literally watched my grandfather die. Like, I watched him take his last breath. And if you've seen that happen, the innocence of childhood went away pretty quickly. The realness of it was pretty apparent. I still remember the sound of his last breath. I still remember the feeling in the room, just literally like the wind being taken out of people, and the effects that out of my family, you know, afterwards. And the reason I share that story, and not to get too depressing here or anything like that, but that's like my anchor of where I'm coming at, is that I don't want that to be you. And one thing I'm going to preface here is that I get it. We're not meant to be immortal. You know, our days are numbered. We're all guaranteed death, but we can live the best life, and we can live a long, healthy life. And there's a difference, like that video said, between your lifespan and your health span. So it's talking about how you're going to spend your last 10 years. Well, I'm going to challenge you tonight is that, like, not how you're going to spend your last 10 years. What about your last 50 years or 40 years or 30 years, like the rest of your life? Because heart disease, many times the first symptom of it is not so much the blood pressure and the cholesterol. For many people, it's an event, a cardiac event, like a heart attack or like a stroke or like an embolism. And I'm going to be talking about these things tonight so that we can move towards more prevention. But then really what we're focusing on in Max Living is not so much prevention, but just maximization of your health so that disease doesn't have that hold on you. And one of the biggest things I'm going to be talking about is that your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. And with everything that's been happening the last, 15 plus months, however long it's been, just look at this slide. It says, 65% of Americans took time off from their workout routine during their quarantine. I would add myself to the list. My gym, the gym that I went to in Lidditz, not only closed down, but actually shut down. Like they just went out of business. So I was without a gym for months. We moved to a new house and I kind of assembled my own kind of home gym, but it's different. Like I still get a workout and I still do that, but it's different than going to the gym. It's a different atmosphere. Everyone knows that you push yourself better in a group. So it's like when we take this time off of our health, and if you know that that's been you, listen, I want to give you grace, give yourself grace. You know, it doesn't come from me, but then realize, okay, yes, I took time off. Yes, I can be better. Let's get back on the horse here and let's get healthy. I don't want to spend too much time. There was actually a few slides on quarantine and stress and all this kind of stuff. It's like, listen, we get it. We know what's been happening. Let's try to move on through our actions. And here's the positive part is that your heart, it's amazing. There's an amazing intelligence in your body for health. Is that many times people look at their genes and they look at the past and they look at their family history or their predispositions and they see it almost like a death sentence when or some kind of curse that's on them, of a generational curse, but that's not how God designed you. Is that your heart is so amazing, like it pumps 2,000 gallons of blood each day. It beats about 115,000 times per day. So its basic function is to pump blood throughout the body. There's two sides of your heart. There's the right side and your left side. Essentially the right side of the heart, and they work independently of one another. There's 4 different valves opening and closing, and it's all synchronized so that one valve is closing while one is contracting, and it just has to be in this perfect rhythm for the blood to make it throughout all the blood vessels, the arteries, the capillaries, all over your body. So the right side of your heart pulls lymph, blood, fluid from the veins, the blood from the veins into the lungs, where the lungs obviously oxygenate the blood. And then it goes to the left side of the heart, and that oxygenated blood is then pushed throughout your body. And that's good because it's going to feed your cells, it's going to feed it oxygen, it's going to feed it nutrients, it's going to make sure that things are circulating, because your blood flow is your life flow. Without your heart, you would die within just a few minutes. That's it. You don't have oxygen. You can't, perform basic metabolic functions. So here's one of the cool facts, and some of you know this, is that, do you know that when there's a blockage in the heart, so for example, out of the left side of the heart, I'm going to look up here. This is part of the aorta that comes up into here. And there's these arteries that form and come back down into the heart. And those are called the coronary arteries. Now, most people realize that if you block a coronary artery, or there's like atherosclerosis or plaquing, and you block blood flow back to the heart, that's a heart attack. Is that the tissue of the heart will die, and that leads to the heart stopping for a period of time, or fibrillation, or an abnormal heartbeat. Very, very dangerous. But I'm not going to name names, but I was talking to a patient recently where they did a routine heart test, stress test. They found that he had over 95% blockage in one of his coronary arteries. But the cardiologist was not concerned because his body had formed auxiliary arteries from where the blockage was. So let's say the blockage is here and the blood flow is coming up to that blockage. The body was so amazingly smart that it formed these auxiliary arteries around the blockage. And it's like amazing. It's like, how did it know? How does it know that there's a blockage there? How does it know to shoot off that artery? And how does it know where to reconnect? What I'm trying to say is there's an amazing intelligence in your body that God put in there. And that's the whole basis of what we're talking about. This is the heart of what we believe, is that there's 33 chiropractic principles. I would say my favorite, or the one that I know the best, is principle 25, the character of innate forces. And what does that mean? So your innate intelligence is your body's innate wisdom, is the wisdom that took 2 cells and turned them into 2 trillion cells, 2 cells from mom and dad, turned them into a baby. It's God's power within your body. It's that spark of divinity that's in you. So it's extremely intelligent, and it's always at 100% if it's flowing through it flows through your nervous system. And if there's misalignments, or if there's deficiencies or subluxations, then that interferes with this intelligence. It's like you can't help God. You can only really kind of get in the way, right? So it's like we can get in the way with our lifestyle of the innate intelligence. And one of the characteristics is it says here, the forces of an innate intelligence never injure or destroy the structures in which they work. Now, this may be a controversial statement for some people because we've been told, by our doctors or the news media or whatever, is that the body is inherently flawed. You're genetically predisposed to a heart disease. You're genetically predisposed to a stroke. Your heart is predisposed to have a different stroke volume than the other person, or your blood pressure is high, your cholesterol is high because of your genes. Like when God made you, he somehow messed up. And that's not how it works, is that when your body makes things like your body makes cholesterol or your blood pressure goes up or you have symptoms, your body is always doing the right thing at the right time. So we have to stop blaming the symptom or what the body's done. We have to take a step back and say, okay, what's the cause to this problem? So we have the problem, whether it's the cholesterol or whether it's the blood pressure, right? So we got to think, okay, what's the issue here? Are we just going to fight the symptom, or are we going to get to the cause of the problem? So this is where the 5 essentials come in. And I've had a few of these conversations today as I've been preparing for this talk this week. Whatever I fill my mind with, I tend to talk about. So I've been talking about getting back to the basics of the 5 essentials. And you can think like what I like to do if there's a problem with your health is you hold up your hand and there's 5 digits, and those represent each of the 5 essentials. And if you're struggling with a health issue, it's because you're neglecting one or more of these essentials. And this is why you've heard of people, one famous example, Jim Fixx, I believe his name was, he invented jogging. I don't know if he invented jogging, but he made it super popular like back in the 70s. Like people just didn't just run for leisure activity. And he did that. He died at 52 years old of a heart attack while jogging. He invented jogging. He looked at him, he looked thin and everything like that. So he exercised. So he had this essential covered, exercise, okay? Maybe he even ate well, but he was a smoker, right? Or how was his mindset? How is his toxicity against smoking? What did his spine look like? You have to follow each one of these. And the beautiful part is that we have it laid out for you. We have resources available. We have nutrition guides available, exercise challenges, guidelines on toxins that are in whether it's in your food or your makeup or your cleaning products. It's all there. And it's just up to you to take advantage of these resources. And that's the point of this talk tonight. So yes, this was a couple years ago, and it was kind of a funny moment, because one thing that I kept being questioned on when I try to get people to come to the workshops. They'd be like, hey, we have a workshop coming up next week. You should come to it. And people kind of hem and haw, I'm busy, or this is going on. And one lady says, come on, you're just going to tell me the same darn thing that you've been telling me for years. And I said, you know what? I am. I just kind of owned it. Because sometimes I'd be like, no, we're going to have this cool thing that we're going to do, or we're going to have this and this. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to tell you the basics and what you need to do. The problem is not the basics or that the information is boring. The problem is the implementation of it, is whether or not you're doing it. Okay, so here are the 4 things we're going to go to. Identifying the causes of heart problems, fueling your heart for success, moving strategically, remembering that your heart is a muscle, it's a pump, and then balancing the nervous system, which controls the beat of the heart, the rhythm of the heart, the cadence of the heart is controlled by the nervous system. So these are the 4 main factors that we're going to go through. And the big one, and the one that everyone's probably asking about is cholesterol. I just had 2 people in just this afternoon, and multiple times a week. Hey doc, went to my family doctor, and they said my cholesterol was higher. My cholesterol was at 212, or my triglycerides were at 250, or my HDL was at 40. What does this all mean? Well, first of all, when you look at HDL and LDL, most people, here's the common denominator, or the common thing that people think. HDL good, LDL bad, right? That's what we think. So the more HDL and the less LDL, great. But again, God doesn't make bad, okay? There can just be things that are out of balance due to our lifestyle, which I'll show you in a second. So did you know that HDL and LDL are not cholesterol at all? Cholesterol is just cholesterol. Cholesterol itself is a repair substance in the body. It's full. It's like cholesterol. If you took it out of your body, if you just took all the cholesterol out of your body, you would die. It's in your nervous system tissue, your brain, your nerves. Like if you took all the cholesterol out of your brain, you wouldn't be able to myelinate the nerve endings. Think of it like myelination of nerve endings is you have the wires going, like the street wires, the electrical wires, and the big like rubber housing around it. That's like myelination. That part of that is cholesterol, very important. Well, in your arteries, or in terms of your heart and your cardiovascular system, it's a repair system. So if you look over here, you see this cholesterol formation along the artery. Now, if you're just looked at from a medical perspective, you're like, ooh, that's bad. We don't want that because that's going to block blood flow. And if you block blood flow, that could lead to something like an embolism, or if this were to cut loose, that could be like a pulmonary embolism. You could get stuck in your lung. It could go up to your brain. That could cause a stroke. That could go to one of your coronary arteries. That would cause a heart attack. That's a bigger risk factor for heart disease, is what they would call this if it was within the heart. So here's the problem with that, is that, like I said, HDL and LDL are not cholesterol. So what does HDL stand for? High density lipoprotein. LDL stands for low density lipoprotein. So they're protein carriers. They're shells in which, or vehicles in which cholesterol goes for a ride throughout your bloodstream. So LDL takes cholesterol, which, did you know most of the cholesterol in your body is made by your body? It's made in your liver, and it goes from the liver. So if there's an injury, let's just say there's an injury here, or there's a nick, there's an injury to this artery. So the liver is making cholesterol. Your brain is smart. It recognizes this through the nerves, through chemicals, through hormones, and it's going to say, okay, we need cholesterol to go in there and fix that problem, to seal the crack. So the LDL takes the cholesterol from the liver and brings it to the site of injury, depositing it in that site. Now, once that site is corrected, or you get some healing to occur, then HDL comes in and takes the cholesterol from the site of injury back to the liver. So from a medical standpoint, if you see HDL higher, that means more cholesterol is being brought back to the liver. If you see LDL higher, then that means that more cholesterol is being made and brought from the liver to the site of injury. So the mistake I believe that's being made is that they're just, through your blood work and through chemicals and drugs and things like that, they're changing the levels of your LDL and your HDL without changing the cause of the problem that caused the artery to nick in the first place. Let me use an analogy. So let's say that there's a fire in a town. Okay, let's just say there's multiple fires in a town, and think of that like an injury. So HDL would be like a fire truck carrying firemen to the site of the injury, firemen being cholesterol. Or sorry, LDL is carrying it, LDL is carrying the firemen from the firehouse to the site of the injury. They're putting out the fire now. They're fighting the fire. That's good. Once the fire is put out, the HDL, or the fire truck, is now going to bring it back from that fire, where the fire was, back to the station, back to the liver. So if you saw all these fires going on and you saw all the firemen out, you're like, these darn firemen. Every time I see these firemen out, there's a fire somewhere. They're the culprit. Well, no, they're actually the solution. They're the one fighting the problem. Now, is it a good thing when you see the firemen going back to the station? Yes. Does it mean that it could potentially be a bad thing if you see a lot of firemen going out? Yes, but it's not the firemen. It's telling you that there's a lot of fire. So we want to get rid of the fire. We want to get rid of the causes. Okay, so what's the cause? So here's a better picture here. This shows a narrowing artery. This shows a bunch of cholesterol being deposited. So they say, ooh, cholesterol, bad. Let's remove this, open up the artery. The problem is this. If you remove this cholesterol without repairing the artery or repairing the cause of the injury to the artery, are you any healthier? So here's a few, and I can send you the links to these if you'd like later on, or if you want a copy of the PowerPoint, you're welcome to have it. The truth is that it's the oxidation of cholesterol that causes heart disease. Oxidation, like the hardening of the cholesterol, where it stays, where instead of it being like a soft, waxy substance that's malleable and can move with the blood flow going through there, it turns hard, like rusted, and hard like a brick. And that's not good, hardening of the arteries. Okay, more people have heart attacks with normal cholesterol than elevated cholesterol. What? More people have heart attacks with normal cholesterol than elevated cholesterol. How does that make sense? Well, there's a couple ways you could look at it, and I'll show you one of the studies here in a second. There's a lot of people with good blood work because they've been put on medications that are not healthy. Here's my golf analogy. Imagine I'm not good at golf. You don't have to imagine, I'm not that good at golf. But if at the end of the day, I golf my round and I'm marking my scorecard. So the scorecard represents my blood work, okay? So I got bad scores on there. So what am I supposed to do? Do I just take an eraser and change the scores and now I have a good score? Or do I have to work on my golf game? Obviously, I have to work on my golf game. I have to change it through my lifestyle choices to get a better score. What the medication does is that it's like taking an eraser and changing the paper. So people come in and say, look, my blood works better now. I'm like, well, did you change your diet? Did you change your exercise? Did you change all? Oh, no. I just took this statin, or I took this blood pressure medication, or I took this metformin for my diabetes, right? Insert any prescription. Now, for a short period of time, that might be saving that person's life, but long-term, they're finding, hey, there could be a problem here. We're not getting to the true cause of the problem. Truth, number 3, there's a higher death rate with low cholesterol than high cholesterol. Again, because cholesterol is a repair substance. If you move it out of the body, it's going to lead to bigger problems like embolisms, like the arteries bursting, weakening, things of that nature. Here's another quick analogy, and I know I can be full of them. Think of it, the blood vessel like a road, and if there's divots or creases in the road, they put in those, the tar snakes. That's like cholesterol. So you see a bunch of tar snakes and you're like, oh, these darn tar snakes or these darn cholesterol. It's there because there's damage to the road. We need to repair the road that's there to hold it together. So here's a study that was done. The authors of 3 large reviews of importance of HDL and LDL cholesterol. And they basically found that statin advocates, that statin drug pushers, have attempted to validate the current dogma, the dogma meaning that we need to just lower the cholesterol any means possible through drugs. The article delineates the serious errors in these reviews. So this is called a literature review, as well as obvious falsifications of the cholesterol hypothesis. It's like, shocker, Big Pharma has been caught many times falsifying documents, changing statistics, manipulating statistics to try to show that, to keep up their dogma of using drugs. So when it comes down to it, it's very simple. And then doctors say this, cardiologists say this, like this isn't a secret. And here's the thing is, like, many times it's the own patient's fault, because the doctor could be saying, hey, Mr. Jones, you need to fix your lifestyle here. And they're just like, well, just give me the drug, right? But it's the standard of care. They have to give the drug and also then give them the lifestyle advice. But if you have poor lifestyle habits, which we'll go through, you're not eating well, you're not exercising, you're eating a lot of bad fats, a lot of high sugar, carbohydrate, your LDL levels are going to go up because you're literally damaging your arteries. So your cholesterol is going up to protect you. So what's the fix for this guy sitting here, this poor guy? He probably tried to go into like modeling or something. It's like, you're going to be the guy laying on the couch with the chips. It's like, oh, great. There's your career. But what's the fix for this guy? Is it to just take drugs? No. Change the lifestyle. Your body heals. It has an amazing capacity to do so. So are statins the answer? The answer is that, well, it's kind of complicated, but when it comes down to it, statins remove cholesterol from your body. So they lower your overall cholesterol levels in your body. Is that a good or bad thing? Well, just a light Google search of like, what are the side effects of statins? What are the problems with statins? I mean, most people know that they come with major side effects. So one of the most common prescriptions still. So the problem with statins is that they can be extremely damaging to your other organs, including your muscles and liver. Statins may also be linked to an increased risk of diabetes. Side effects of statins include nausea, constipation, and diarrhea. So one study stated, however, there's an increasing understanding that the mechanisms are more complicated and that statin treatment in particular, when used as a primary prevention, is of doubtful benefit. So what do we do? Well, you got to get to the cause, because like some of you are like, oh, I'm on statins, I'm on metoprolol, or Lipitor or arturostatin, simvastatin. What do I do? Now, here's my legal speak. Obviously, you need to speak to your doctor, let them know, hey, I'm going to be taking on this lifestyle change. I want to come off my medications, and it's something they can help you do safely over time. Here's two great supplements, though, if you are on statins or you're recovering from them, or you just like in general want to help your fight with cholesterol. First of all, this is not a replacement for a statin drug, so don't get that from here. But vitamin D is considered to be, muscle-related problems. So one of the issues with removing the cholesterol from your body is that you impair the production of vitamin D because it needs cholesterol. Cholesterol is also the base of many hormones like testosterone and cortisone and estrogen, so it can mess up people's hormone cycle. Vitamin D can help to re-regulate those things and get you back to where you need to be. CoQ10. So CoQ10 is like the last step, or it's an enzyme cofactor in the metabolism process. So basically, from your body turning food into energy, one of the major limiting processes of that is the amount of CoQ10 that you have. This is why if people have low CoQ10 levels, they feel tired, they feel sluggish, they feel like they crave carbohydrates because they're just trying to get quick energy. So CoQ10 supplementations may help prevent statin side effects in some people, though more statins are needed to determine any benefits of taking it. Now, even many doctors are like, hey, here's your statin and here's also CoQ10. Okay, but this is something if you're recovering or you're dealing with statin therapy, these are two kind of must-have supplements for that, which would be great. Okay, so let's understand then what causes the plaquing of the arteries. And this is something that I'm very excited to show you here.
So we first drew Ryan's blood in a healthy state, and then we looked at it under a very powerful microscope.
This is what you want healthy blood to look like. All of the cells are individualized. There's no clumping. You're developing energy. Mm-hmm. The red blood cells are bringing the oxygen. If they're clumped together, they can't bring the oxygen to your tissue beds. Right. So that's important. That is about as healthy a picture of blood as I could ever see. So this is someone who's really cut down on their level of sugar intake. Whenever you understand, that's right. All right, you guys ready to go eat? All right, come on. This is where the kitchen's at.
So now it was time to eat. So we started to look at some options. And what Ryan ended up eating was just some simple stuff that most Americans would eat on any typical morning. Things you would find in your house and things that parents would be happy to give to their kids. Nothing too crazy, really. Just everyday food. It didn't really look like Ryan overloaded on sugar. But in that course of that small 10 minutes, he had almost 200 grams of sugar.
That was a nice snack. Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens to the blood. All right. Well, I'm excited to see this, Ryan. What do you think? What's going through your mind right now? Well, how are you feeling? What do you think your blood's feeling?
Well, let's see. I don't know. I guess it feels a little tingly up here because it's, sugar at levels that I'm not used to doing anymore.
Right. After ingesting 200 grams of sugar, within about 15 to 20 minutes, we take a second sample of your blood. And what we see is rouleau, that's a French word meaning stack of coins, where you've lost the ability to have your energy manufactured in the body. You can no longer bring the energy to your cellular beds. You also have something called spicules. These are platelets which have mutated from their normal disc shape to needle-like projections, giving appearances of cracked glass. There are heavy proteins in the blood, and it slows the liver down due to much fat that develops in the blood.
So when we have this stacking of, I kind of, don't you think they look like caterpillars?
Look at caterpillars, and the sugar actually does convert in the liver to fat.
Yes, right.
That's what's happening.
So it's like gluing it together with the triglycerides.
Americans are ingesting this tremendous amounts of high fructose corn syrup, along with all of these synthetic chemicals like sucralose, which is Splenda, aspartame. These are toxic chemicals, and their cells are being held together by duct tape, and they don't know it. Wow. They don't know it. And when this reveals a very powerful image of what happens to you, this is very powerful.
You think about.
Wow. So just look at this. I mean, first of all, that doctor was really passionate. I mean, I want that guy to check my blood work. Now, here's the one thing I'll say of the video. It's kind of funny that obviously the documentary maker, he was being a little facetious. He's like, oh, he was eating just a little bit of sugar. He pounded 200 grams of sugar. That's a lot. I realize that's a lot in one sitting, but here's to put that in perspective. Did you know that the standard American diet calls for 300 grams of carbohydrates in a day? So this isn't far off. If you eat that much sugar, if you're following the standard American diet, you're getting that much carbs, this is what your blood work can start to look like. So obviously you're going to be tired, exhausted, like mood swings, not sleeping well. But not only that, did you hear he said your blood, these blood cells, these platelets change their orientation to like shards of glass, spicules, he says, which can then damage the arteries around which they're flowing through. So if we go back to this picture, is like much of the damage can occur from the cells themselves that are flowing through if they're like shards of glass, these platelets and things like that getting caught up, because that's the first thing that sugar does. The other thing that when you pump that much sugar and carbohydrate in the body, your arteries, you go into this sympathetic state and they squeeze and things narrow and you cut blood flow off and you're not feeling good, you're not oxygenating the body. So we want to begin to fuel our body for success, because here's the cool part is that, and you hear of people, they've had heart attacks in the past or strokes in the past, that your body, your heart especially, has an amazing ability to regenerate itself. So the lining of your heart, there's 3 different tissue types in the body: your epithelium, your mesothelium, and your endothelium. And the endothelium is typically in your internal organs, and it turns over rather quickly. You know, a heart cell itself lives for approximately 90 days. It obviously, life cycles vary, but let's just say for argument's sake, a singular heart cell lives for 90 days. Within 90 days, that heart cell dies and it's replaced by a new heart cell. Where does that come from? It comes from the endothelium, which is manufactured in the bone marrow. So your bone marrow, or your bones, and the mineral composition, the minerals that you have, the nutrients that you have, the vitamins that you're taking for like bone health, as an example, also play into heart health. So that's why we're talking about things like vitamin D, you know, optimal omega, fish oil, all these things that are so very important, not only for your heart, but also the stuff that builds your heart, which is your bone marrow. So we got to get raw materials in. So your body's this amazing builder. This innate intelligence is in there, and it's this amazing builder that can build you a fresh heart every 90 to 120 days to every few months. So we need to give it the raw materials. Just like you need raw materials to build a building, the bricks and the mortar and the wood and the nails and all the steel and everything like that, we have to give the right kind of fuel. So you are what you eat. So we have to eat the right kinds of food. Now, fat, for decades and decades, and still for people, it's hard to come around to the fact that like you want to eat eggs. Eggs are good for you. And the yolk too. I still have patients that are a little older, no offense, because it's that 1980s way of thinking of like fat is the enemy, just don't eat fat. If we find fat or cholesterol in your body, then therefore don't eat it and it'll go down. Well, hold on a minute. Most of the cholesterol, I believe it's 80%, that's in your body is made by your liver anyways. So if you stop eating it, your body's just going to make more, and it's going to make your liver work harder. So it's the type of fat. You want to be eating good fats. So you can see some of them on the right here: nuts and seeds, eggs, oils like avocado oil, coconut oil, salmon, right? On the left side, I mean, it's the obvious stuff, the chips and the pretzels and the donuts and those bad oils that the stuff is fried in. Just think of it this way to make it really easy. It's like, if it's made by God, it's good. If it's made by man, it's bad. So some heart healthy fats, in general, you want to get on a good fish oil supplement. One I recommend that we have 2 of them. One is just a pure omega-3. The other one's called Optimal Omega. Now I know a lot of you can be frugal or want to get the best deal. That's a supplement. There's some supplements that I'll admit you could get like at a lesser price and you're getting something fairly similar. Not fish oils. When you go to like a GNC or to a big box store and you see 100 different SKUs of different omegas, you could be buying something as bad as like just a simple salt pill, or you're buying something that you're going to be burping up fish for the next 2 months. So you want to get it good, and you have to have the right ratio. So you want to have a 2-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. So we have this all figured out. Again, the supplement that we recommend is called Optimal Omega, optimal meaning the ratios. Speaking of this, carbohydrates, I want to talk about net carbs, because some of you are like, you saw that video and you saw that guy drinking a Pepsi and eating a Pop-Tart and eating a banana, and you're like, I don't eat that stuff. I'm good. I don't eat that sugar. Oh, how people love their oatmeal. I just had a mini conversation with a lady today, and she just would not let go of the fact that she loves her oatmeal in the morning. She's just like almost like zombie, where we're just like, I was told to eat oatmeal, soluble fiber. So why is oatmeal called heart healthy? Because of soluble fiber. It has so much fiber in it. So I had on the board the other day. So if you look here, here's the nutrition facts for organic whole grain oatmeal. So look at the total carbohydrate is 33 grams. Fiber, 3 grams. Wow, that's so much. 3 grams of fiber, oh my gosh. And people say, yeah, but it has soluble fiber. I'm like, just because oatmeal is the only thing that you think contains soluble fiber doesn't mean it's the only thing that contains soluble fiber. Fruits, vegetables, fresh juices, those contain soluble fiber. Like good roughage, deep green, leafy greens, kale, spinach. Very good for you, lots of soluble fiber. So if you like start your day off, because look at this, so this is called net carbs. So if someone's going ketogenic or more advanced plan, you're eating about 20 to 50 net carbs per day, grams of carbs. Your net carbs equals your total carbs, 33 grams, minus your fiber, minus any sugar alcohols like xylitol, allulose, maltitol, things like that. So for oatmeal, it has a whopping 30 grams of net carbs. Now, net carbs is that food's ability, that starch, that although it's more complex with a whole grain, it's still going to jam up your blood sugar. Like, did you know that things like the cornflakes and the Raisin Brans and the cereals and even bread, do you know that spikes your blood sugar more than sugar itself? Because it's high glycemic. Yes, I'm getting animated about this. Because and here's the other thing that I want to say, and I will say here, and I am going to get a little pointed, because people, they'll be like, no, but it's good for me. It's good for me. This is what I do. Guess what? If you're looking to lose weight and you're looking to get heart healthy and all this stuff, whatever you're doing, it's not working. If you're not at your goals, like if you're eating oatmeal and you have a 6-pack abs and your heart health is good and everything's fine, great, go for it. Eat oatmeal. But if you want to lose weight, if you want to look better, feel better, and reduce your risk of heart disease, stop eating it. Stop. Okay, there's my oatmeal rant. Yes, I'm fired up. Okay, let's go to meat. So you are not only what you eat, but you are what they eat. So if you're going to eat meat, you want to make sure that you're getting the best quality. So grass-fed, you want to make sure that it's at least 30%. Grass-fed, here's the different standards. Whenever something says grass-fed on it, it means that it must be at least 30% grass-fed. When it's grass-fed and finished, it must be 100% grass-fed. Conventional and 0% grass-fed. So you want to know your farmers. We have a lot of resources at the office of different farms you can go to where you can know the quality that you're getting. And the reason why you want to go grass-fed is because it has the right ratio of omega-6 fatty acids to omega-3 fatty acids. So you want about a 2-to-1 to 4-to-1 ratio. Now, that would be grass-fed and finished has about between a 2 to a 4-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, and that's going to be good. Your body can process that. But when something's conventional, it can have as much as a 20-to-1 ratio, which your body can obviously lead to inflammation because it's way too much omega-6 compared to the omega-3 for digestibility. Here's another one. Another issue is that an animal, like a chicken or cow or fish, whatever, it has to eat approximately 16 pounds of plant material to produce 1 pound of flesh. So imagine all of the grains or the hay or whatever that animals being fed, they have to eat 16 pounds of it to get it down to 1 pound of steak or 1 pound of chicken breast. So what's happening is that whatever was in that food or whatever's in that plant is going to be super condensed down. So that could be the spray, the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides that have been sprayed on the plant. Here's the other thing is that approximately 70% of all medically important antibiotics in the United States are sold for use in animals. So that's being condensed down into the animal as well. So those are things you want to watch out for. So what do we do? Very simple changes. You want to go for grass-fed and ideally grass-finished beef, organic chicken, wild-caught fish, and if you're going to go dairy, and I would recommend even reducing it, is to go with organic dairy. All right, another great thing if you're looking to lose weight, because if your heart is a pump, your heart's pumping blood throughout your body. If you have a bigger body, the pump has to pump harder, right, to get that blood to go to a bigger body, to a bigger mass. So as an example, like I have a swimming pool now, so that's something I've been focusing on. If someone has a bigger swimming pool or longer lines that go from the pool to the filtration unit and the pump, obviously they need a bigger pump. If you have a smaller pool and shorter lines, you would need a shorter pump. So the bigger, the longer the lines have to be, or the bigger the body has to be, you need a stronger pump or a stronger heart. The issue with that is that you put a lot of pressure on your heart. And so people's hearts can become enlarged. They have to get bigger to deal with a body that's bigger and they're put under stress. So one of the best things to do to reduce your risk of heart disease, I'd say number one is weight loss, is not being obese. Basically, if you're obese, your risk factor for heart disease just goes through the roof compared to someone who is of normal weight. So intermittent fasting speeds up weight loss. It moves the body into ketosis, which is burning fat. It's going to improve your energy, wakefulness, and deep sleep. Here's the main thing is that you pick a time that you're done eating. So let's just say it's, if you can do 6 o'clock, great, or even 7 o'clock. And you set the time, okay, kitchen's closed at 7. You do not eat anything else. No snacks, no chips, no pretzels, no almonds, no late night snack, nothing. You drink water, that's it. Okay, kitchen's closed. Then you don't eat the next day. You don't eat for 16 hours. So if you're done eating at 6 p.m., your next meal is now at 10 a.m. Or if you were done at 7 p.m., your next meal is now at 11 a.m. That's when you eat breakfast. Okay, and what that's going to do is that's going to give your body a chance, your digestive system a chance to rest, for your digestive enzymes to replenish themselves, and for you to start burning fat. Now, the thing you got to watch out for and be very cognizant and careful with is to change how you breakfast or how you break fast. Because if I were to do intermittent fasting and I spend all that energy and discipline and everything else and willpower to get me to 11 a.m., and trust me, after a while, it becomes a lot easier. And then I go ahead and eat 2 servings of oatmeal and I pump in 60 grams of sugar into my body, I just blew it, right? So you want to make sure one of the best things that you can do is do something like a smoothie where you're getting in good healthy protein and fat. Eggs are great, just going very low carbohydrate, good fat, good protein, giving your body, your heart, those building blocks for success so that you can not only lose weight, but you can also fuel your body for success. One of the biggest questions that I get, well, I have cravings. Like, food is extremely emotional, right? I found we did a challenge in February, so a 28-day challenge, and I'll say I did it well. It was probably one of the best challenges I've had where I followed it pretty much to the T. I only had a couple things that I had that maybe weren't on the challenge, but even that, I did really well with it. So I was proud of myself for that and accomplishing that. Here's some of the tricks that I used if I was getting a craving, is to drink a glass of water. Many times when you're hungry, you're actually thirsty. Eat a protein-rich snack. So something like protein powder with a little bit of like almond milk or water, and just drink that, and that's going to curb that hunger craving. Go for a walk, go outside, get active, take your mind off things, get your body moving. You'd be surprised, like the more you're moving, the less hungry you're going to feel. You preoccupy your body. Avoid artificial sweeteners, no diet drinks, no diet Pepsi, Coke, sucralose, all that stuff. And then also dark chocolate, 80+% is awesome. Like, you can eat chocolate, which I love, and lose weight. It's great. And here's 2 products that we have that I just love. I have the keto bar. Usually every morning that I'm in the office, I usually do a keto bar. So it has 10 grams of protein, only 2 grams of net carbs, and 15 grams of fat. They taste great. They taste really good. And here's the thing. I have a patient, his name's Bob. He was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes months ago. He's since reversed that diagnosis through his lifestyle. He happens to have a medical doctor who is completely on board with everything that we talk about here at the office. And she basically said, like, listen to your chiropractor. They're going to help you with this. We have some nutritional guidelines too, but you can reverse this through your lifestyle, which is an amazing thing to say. So he would take his blood in the morning, right? Because he had to really watch his blood sugar. He would eat a keto bar. And then a half hour later, he would check his blood again. It did not raise his blood sugar. Did not raise his blood sugar. So we have these at the office. Right now, for everyone listening, if you come in and you just tell us that you listened to the Zoom call, you do get 10% off the keto bars, and they're really good. If you want a box of them, you can get a box of them. You'll also get 10% off. Now, the other one is called the Max Keto Chews. They almost look like, I should have brought one in. They look like little Starburst candies, but they're not. They contain triglycerides or amounts of fat, like what's called MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides, and then natural stevia sweetening. Tastes like watermelon, but it's stevia. And you eat those, and that just gives your brain a shot of fat, and it helps to clear your mind. Like I have those throughout shift because I'm very much like very focused, person to person, back and forth, using my brain. So I take one of those, and I can feel my focus come back. People notice things like not forgetting things as much, and just getting that fat in their body is good. All right, if you're looking for resources, and you'll have the opportunity to text for Haley to send you the resources, we have an entire weight loss challenge already pre-done. So it gives you 28 days of recipes. We have the meal plan is there. We have the grocery list. So all you need to do is plug and play. You literally take this grocery list to the store. You buy those exact items. We have all the quantities laid out, exactly what to do. It's going to tell you exactly what to get, and then you just follow right along. And you can mix and match. You can swap out meals and different things like that with the plan, or we have all kinds of recipes available. You can make your own plan, but this will just give you I would recommend, especially if you're doing it for the first time, just plug and play, follow it along. I did it to the T over February for the 28-day challenge. It works. It works. All right. So supplements, think of them like nutritional insurance. I'm big, and I always say this. I used to think that you could get all of your vitamins, your minerals, everything from your food. Just from knowing about doing testing, blood and urine testing on people, the more I'm learning about supplementation and how they're absorbed within the bodies. Unfortunately, the soil, the nutrient richness of the soil, food contents, the vitamins, the minerals, and things like that have depleted in our soil and in our food. So we do need to take supplements. We need to take the right kind of supplements. Here's just a short list of some heart-healthy supplements that I would recommend. One is taking a B vitamin. Everyone should be taking some kind of B vitamin, especially B6. And this has a great amount of the B complex that we have has a really good amount of B6, which is, I would argue, is the most important B vitamin, especially for your heart. So B vitamins, essentially, they're cofactors that help your body take food and turn it into energy, among many other things. Energy production throughout every cell in your body. You need B vitamins to live. And your heart especially just loves B vitamins because the muscle needs those B vitamins to produce all that constant energy from pumping all day, all night, nonstop since the moment you were in your mommy's belly. All right, curcumin C3, which is an active form of turmeric. So that helps to lower inflammation. If those of you with arthritis, pain, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, it helps to lower inflammation, not only a natural pain reducer, but also helps to lower inflammation throughout your body. So if you're dealing with inflammation, if you're dealing with problems with blood pressure and things like that, curcumin can be a great option in your arsenal to have at home. Grass-fed protein, which we talked about, great for smoothies. Optimal Omega, which is a fish oil. And then also CoQ10, which is a very obvious one that most people know about. So these are just some great supplements to have on hand. All right, let's talk about movement. Your heart's a muscle. You got to use it or lose it, right? And we want to use it in the right way. is it's amazing how your heart works, is that when you exercise, it knows to increase the stroke volume, the blood pressure. They've done studies. So there's something called VO2 max tests that they do on athletes. And anyone can get one done. They're just expensive. That's actually one, I'm not big on regrets, but one thing that I regret in my life is I took human kinetics in Canada at the University of Guelph. So the whole thing is like studying how exercise influences the body, your metabolism, how that changes, how your body responds to exercise. And one of the things we did is we did a VO2 max test where you basically test your body's ability to take in oxygen, the oxygen exchange of your body through exercise, and how your body responds to exercise. So you essentially, it's the best, it's the gold standard for fitness. And we had a group and we were in the lab, and I was the most, at the time there, the group I was in, I was the most fit person. I was an athlete. I was playing hockey multiple times a week and stuff. And everyone looked at me. They're like, volunteer for the test, because you have to go on a bike and you pedal as fast as you can. Then they drop it like 15 to 25 pounds on the bike, and you have to pedal as hard as you can, breathing in a machine. They measure all your metabolism and how your body responds to that stress. And I didn't do it. I let someone else do it because I was worried, because you'd be the one doing it in front of an entire group of 50 or 70 people, or very much, and they're kind of cheering you on. But I was too, I don't know, self-conscious or something. I regret that. I wish I had done that, because those tests are like probably thousands of dollars. I would have had it for free. Well, anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that when they put you through a stress test like that, I'm not like a stress test at the hospital where they're having you walk on the treadmill. They have you run on the treadmill. They test your heart. How do they do that? They do that through high intensity training. They get you to move fast. They want to get your heart rate up. How are you going to respond? How do your lungs respond? So cardio versus high intensity, short duration, which type of exercise is best? You guys already know my answer to this. High intensity, short duration. Max T3 is the system that we have here through Max Living. If you're a patient, every one of you should have this bookmark. If you don't, we'll give you one. I can give you my own login for this. I would recommend that you go to maxt3.com, use the access code that you got. You can punch in, create your own login, and it gives you up over 8 hours of workouts on there. High intensity workouts that anyone can do. There's beginner, intermediate, advanced. We've also developed a 28-day fitness challenge that shows you which exercises to do on certain days, and it's going to push you to the next level. Now, here's the thing. We are doing our final Saturday workout. It's our last one. We decided as a family to take our weekends back. We're just going to be working 5 days a week instead of 6. And so our last Saturday that will be in the office will be Saturday, June the 19th. It'll be at the office parking lot, weather permitting. If not, we'll go inside. But with the number of people I'm hoping to get, we'll have to be outside. So I'm calling it the final countdown, because I'm always counting down. Warning, the exercise, because it is going to be the last one, it's going to be intense. It's going to be fun. It's going to be high tempo. Please come ready to sweat. Bring a water bottle, bring a hand towel. We're going to have fun, but we're also going to get in shape. We're going to work out together, and I'm going to walk you through what a Max T3 workout looks like. It's only 12 minutes long, but you're going to work, you're going to sweat, you're going to get your heart rate up, you're going to surge your heart rate up and then rest. Surge it up and then rest. It's called interval training. Very good for your heart. Okay. Balancing the nervous system. So your nervous system, this goes without saying. I mean, I am a chiropractor. It's kind of my specialty. Your entire human experience is through your nervous system. Your smell, your taste, your sight, your hearing, just your entire, your mental outlook of the world, your entire physical being. You are your nervous system. Who you are, outside of your spirit and everything like that, I get that, your soul, but you're in this body. You are the nervous system. Wow, that's profound. Your nervous system controls every cell, tissue, organ in your body. So the causes of the cure, most heart attacks are likely caused by an imbalance in your central nervous system and your autonomic or unconscious nervous system, which controls the function of our internal organs. So your heart, the beat of it, the blood pressure, stroke volume, how it knows to go up or down is regulated by your brain, specifically the cranial nerves. I believe it's cranial nerve 8 and 9, glossopharyngeal nerve goes down to your heart, your vagus nerve slows it down, glossopharyngeal, your sympathetic nervous system speeds it up. Yeah, your nervous system has to be in the right balance for this to occur. So that can come from your spine being in alignment or out of alignment. It also can come from stress level, and it also can come from things like your blood pressure. So your blood pressure is affected by how you think, how you move, how you eat, but it's also affected by your brain. So your brain controls your blood pressure. So the question is, if you're having high blood pressure, you have to ask yourself, why? Because there are, so I'm not going to say that high blood pressure is a good thing. There are serious side effects to having high blood pressure. So the high blood pressure is known as a silent killer with very few warning signs. So here's some other signs that you have high blood pressure without checking it. Blood spots in the eyes, facial flushing. So you see the guy, like, think of like the kind of the shorter guy with the belly and the typical, like the red face or the red nose. That's a sign of high blood pressure. Dizziness, fatigue, confusion, chest pain, irregular heartbeat, vision issues because the pressure goes up to the eyes so much that it could affect your sight. Pounding in your chest, neck, or ear, or blood in your urine are all signs of high blood pressure. And I'm going to talk about, there's many different causes, but one of the biggest ones is your mindset and where your focus is with your mind. So there's this sympathetic nervous system. There's your parasympathetic nervous system. So your parasympathetic nervous system is largely regulated by your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is one of your cranial nerves, cranial nerve number 10, comes out of your neck, from your brain, through your skull, out of your neck, goes to pretty much every cell, tissue, organ in your body. And it's kind of setting your heart at a pace to kind of slow down. Like, for example, did you know that your heart without the vagus nerve, there's the sinoatrial nodes and like the pacemaker of your heart automatically goes at 100 beats per minute. Did you know that? Isn't that cool? So it's kind of set for 100 beats per minute. But your parasympathetic nervous system or your vagus nerve is always kind of slowing the heart down. And it's like slow, rest, digest, relax, you feel calm, right? That's good. Sympathetic is fight or flight. This is largely controlled by your adrenal glands. And so if you're in trouble, you're in danger, you're stressed, your arteries constrict, your blood pressure goes up, your blood flows to your large extremities. You can't think straight. Less blood flow is going to your upper cortex. It's all going to the lower cortex, to your motor centers. You're ready to fight someone, you're ready to run away. You're in a state of just like a fear or freezing. And it's kind of like a lizard. It's like the lizard's either going to jump at me and bite me, it's going to run away from me, or it's just going to freeze, right? And there's been a lot of that this last year. I shared this at our last webinar, but I think it bears repeating. So there's 3 main hormones here that are in play, and we're going to use the acronym CAN or CAN. So I'm going to ask you this: are you in a CAN state of mind, or are you in a DOS state of mind, which we'll talk about in a sec? So CAN stands for cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine, all of them produced by the adrenal glands. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Okay, so if you're going to work, you don't like your job, you don't like the person you're working with, you're in a fight with your spouse, your kids aren't behaving, you watch the news when you get up in the morning, there's world things going on, you know, there's money issues, like we all have our problems, right? That's where cortisol goes up. If that's up all the time, you could be asleep at night and you wake up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning and you're wide awake, your cortisol just bumped up. You can't sleep because your cortisol's up. Adrenaline. Adrenaline is, again, from the adrenal glands. It's like, it's go time. Your adrenaline goes up, you're hyped up. That is adrenaline and norepinephrine. Do you know that that's influenced by caffeine? The reason why you feel the rush of adrenaline, caffeine, like, woo, some people are very sensitive to caffeine like me, that can mess up your cortisol. I'm not a proponent of a lot of coffee. I believe that it doesn't put you in a calming state. I believe that it puts you in a sympathetic state based on the chemistry at which it influences. And then also norepinephrine. So adrenaline, think like anger. Norepinephrine, kind of the same thing. So you're in a state of just like stress, fear, annoyance, kind of, you know, those people in your life who are in a CAN state, those are the people you don't want to be around. That's the person you see on your phone that calls you and you don't pick up. You don't want to be that person. And we all can be that person at one form or another, but you don't want to be that because it's not good for you, but it's also not good for other people. We want to move more into DOS, D-O-S-E. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Dopamine is your do it again hormone. It's your goal hormone. So if you achieve a goal, I'll throw myself under the bus for this. So like it was funny because my neighbor was out at the same time I was. We were going to the beach, and I spent we have one of those big topper things for our SUV, and I'm getting that all set up. And it takes a while. Like you have to get it up there and screw it all in and get it all ready and set up the bike rack. And I was getting everything ready the night before. So when it's done, what do? You look at it. I just was like staring at it. I'm like, look at that. Look what I did. Look at that. Look at that accomplishment. That's a dopamine hit. And the funny thing is that the guy next door, he was looking because he did a bunch of mulching and he set up his sprinkler system and everything like that. And he was just standing there just looking at the grass. We were both getting a dopamine hit. And you'll laugh at me, but we all do it. You garden. What do you do after? You look at the garden. Look what I did. You cut your grass in certain lines. You look at the grass. It's just something, it's a dopamine hit. And you can do it in a positive way or a negative way. So the positive way would be like that, checking off a goal list. The negative thing would be like gambling or addiction, things like that. Not good. All right, oxytocin is your bonding hormone. Here's one that I just heard at church a few weeks ago for the couples who are listening. Women, did you know that if you give your husband a hug 3 or more times a day, they will live on average 3 years longer? Women, if you want your husband to live longer, give him a hug 3 times a day. He will live longer. Oxytocin, there's receptors on your heart. Like when you fall in love or you feel your heart breaking, the opposite, that's the effect of oxytocin. When you hold a baby for the first time and you have that skin to skin interaction, like even for me today, I have a 20-month-old Jake, and I still rock him to sleep. I rocked him to sleep, and just feeling that calming bond that we have, that's an oxytocin release. That's love. It's sex. It's hugging. It's kissing, cuddling. Those are the things we need. Those things in our life in order to bring us more peace. Physical touch. Serotonin. Serotonin is your happy hormone. 95% of it is produced in the gut. So the most important thing that you can do. So for people who are depressed, who have anxiety, the number one place that I recommend starting with is your gut health. So selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, are commonly known as antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication. They affect the brain, right? But again, only 5% of the serotonin is activated there. 95% of it is in the gut. Now, legal thing, am I telling you to go flush your antidepressants down the toilet? No. But if you're on those things or you're concerned about your serotonin levels or happiness levels, look at your food first, okay? So serotonin, food, and also, interesting thing, confidence levels. When do you feel best about yourself is when you put on that, for women, that little black dress or those pair of jeans that fit just right, or that shirt. It's kind of like your vacation clothes. You ever notice you go on vacation, you always bring your favorite clothes with you or your best clothes that you feel most confident in. Why? Because you're on vacation. I want to look good. I want to feel good. Now, there's more to life than that. I get that, and that can sound a little shallow, but there's a reality. You know, you want to take care of our body and look good and feel good. That raises our serotonin levels. All right, the next one are endorphins. Endorphins is kind of like, that can be mistaken with adrenaline, norepinephrine, but it's an energy rush that's good, that's healthy, that's vitality. That would be like exercise. The rush that you feel after a great exercise, or maybe going hiking or doing a physical activity, you're like, whew, I feel really good. That's an endorphin rush. So this is where you want to choose the road you want to go down. We want to start moving down the dose road. These are people who are in dose that you want to be around. These people are life-giving. These people are, in general, they feel like they're listening to me. They're happy. They're open, you know. That's who we want to be. We want to be more dose in our life. How do you do that? It's not going to come all at once. There's days where you're walking down this road. There's days where you're walking down this road. Like, I get it. But you do those actions that I was just talking about, and you live the best that you can, and eventually you become that person. And your thoughts change. Your thoughts influence your body. Your spine. I mean, of course I have to talk about this, is that your spine and how it influences your heart. Subluxation is misalignment of the spine. So for example, if there's a disc issue, if there's spinal stenosis or what we call subluxation, putting pressure on the nerves. If those nerves happen to go to the heart, those nerves happen to go to the lower back, they happen to go to the thyroid, it's going to negatively impact those cells, tissues, and organs. So you want to make sure that you have a healthy spine so that your body is healing and functioning as close to 100% as you can get that. And so at our office, as many of you know, we test, we don't guess. Many chiropractors you go to, you know, it's kind of like lay down, get adjusted, never really did an exam, never took x-rays. We don't do that. We actually have very specific protocols where we can change someone's spine over time. So this is a young lady named Alicia. She's 28 years old. She came into the office about 2 months ago, dealing with neck pain, shoulder pain. So we found through the exam is that she lost her range of motion in her neck. And this is her from the side. So this is her x-ray. See, here's her teeth, eyes, base of the skull. She's facing this way to the left. And normally you want to see a nice curve in the neck here, like this. She, if you can see there, it's hard to see, she's at a -8. Her head was forward by 35 millimeters or 1.5 inches, which is a lot. So because of that, it's putting a lot of tension on these muscles in the back, putting a lot of tension on these discs, even at her young age where she's dealing with neck pain and even headaches. So what we do is we not only take your x-rays when you start, is that we take it throughout care. And within 1 month of care, we took an x-ray of her just wearing the head weight. You know the head weight that you put on the front? By putting weight on the front of your head, pulls your head back. So she went from 30, I believe it says 35 or 37 millimeters forward to now 29 millimeters forward or 22, whatever that says, sorry. And so we reduced the forward head posture, increased the curve. She went from -8 to +24. Then when we couple that, we took another x-ray with not only the head weight, but also doing the neck traction unit, which you can see here. Her neck, her essentially forward head posture is gone. She now has a 39-degree curve out of 45. So essentially in 1 month, showing near full correction. It's amazing. The technology, how it's improved, the techniques, how they've improved. I'm learning and relearning this stuff all the time, the seminars that we go to, and it's becoming easier and easier to correct even the toughest of cases of people who are coming in. So first things first, if you're listening to this, you know, your husband, your wife, who's in your family that's not checked yet, you got to get checked. See where you're at, know what's going on, talk to us. Many times the things holding you back are so simple and are just misunderstood. So we offer 50% off for family members for first evaluation, including any testing, including x-rays if necessary. So it's only $70. They have nothing to lose, $70. Take the film, see what's going on. We'll come up with a plan for correction and go from there. And then at least they'll know what's going on with their spine. Now, for those of you who are patients, your exercise is so important to keep your spine moving, mobile, to keep it flexible. So you can see here the wobble cushion exercise. Be doing that, your neck tractions. Recommit to taking care of your spine. If you want to sit down with Dana, go over your exercises, just let us know. Send us a text. We'll schedule a specific time where she can re-go over any exercises or any questions that you have. If you're dealing with any new concerns with your spine, let us know. Let us know. We can always change our approach with your adjustments, your exercises and stretches to get you the best results. All right. I want everyone to go ahead and pull out their phone. Go ahead and pull out your phone and get your camera out. You're going to go ahead and take a picture or just hold the camera up to there. And you see on my phone, it pops up there. Okay. So it's called a QR code. So the QR code, this is for the Lifestyle Risk Questionnaire. So I'll just give you a couple seconds. Take out your phone. I'll put this up at the end too. And you can take this test where it's a lifestyle risk questionnaire where you're going to be answering different questions on the 5 essentials to get a kind of a score, an idea of where you're at. You can also text LRQ to our number, to our texting number, the 717-627-0365, and Haley will send you information and resources on the lifestyle risk questionnaire. And we want to, do this. You can print it out. We can print it out for you once you get the results, and we can go over those with you. If you want to take time to go over where you're at when you're getting your resources and everything like that. So how it works is you go through, it gives you a report on the different 5 essentials. Gives you a report on each of the 5 essentials. The lower the score, the better. So you can see there's like the bright green, the down to the red. You want to be in the light green to the really bright green. That's going to be like living well, or, you know, really max living. So you're going to get like kind of an idea, okay, where am I at? And then we can take this now. And then as you go through doing these resources, the challenges and implementing this, we can get a real objective measure of what you've changed, and it can show us different percentages and stuff. So we're always trying to improve. And this is another resource we want to give you. All right. This is for people. We're unveiling a new program. This is really exciting. So if you've been down this road before, you have done the whole, I eat well, I exercise, I've been doing this, I'm still have concerns about my health. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I don't have energy. I'm dealing with joint pain. I'm dealing with arthritis. I'm dealing with, I don't know, deficiency. My feet are tingling. Like, what's going on with me? What's going on with my body? We're unveiling a revamped form of what we call max metabolics. So it's blood and urine testing, where we're going to be testing. It's like taking an x-ray of your physiology. So how this works is that you'll be getting the metabolomics. It's called metabolomics test kit. It's going to take a sample of your urine, your blood. And what it's going to do is we're going to go through a consult of your specific recommendations. What's also included is your first months of supplements as well. You get 3 additional check-ins. So it's basically a 4-month plan that we're bringing to you. We're doing a retest after 90 days. And then you also get a consultation for the retest as well. So it's all included. Now, for those of you who have done this before through the old way, the old testing, the old organic acid test, we did an initial test, but we didn't do a retest. This one, it includes the retest. Now, I can tell you that this goes through. So it prints off a report for you, and I'm just going to show you this. And just what's included, and I'm not going to take too much time, but you can see all your nutrients, your antioxidants, vitamins A, C, like lipoic acid, your CoQ10 levels, your B vitamins, your minerals, essential fatty acids, whether or not you need more digestive enzymes. Also your amino acids, whether or not you're getting enough of those. Also your antioxidant needs, okay? So where's your oxidation level at? Where's your B vitamins at? Your minerals. Go on to the next page. Your imbalances in your liver, also in your gut. Malabsorption of, basically this is showing all the different aspects of your metabolism change in your body, your electron transport chain, citric acid cycle, basically your body's ability to take food and turn it into energy. It's testing all those different factors. So the beautiful thing about this, and those are just a few things, that there's a few more pages, is that this is going to give you a direct snapshot of like, here's exactly what B vitamin, the amount you need, the digestive support, the omegas. We've had a few people do this already and already noticed changes like in menstrual cycle, in sleep, in wakefulness. Like, it's going to get to the cause of the problem. Here's what I don't want though, because it's going to be more work for us. Here's what I don't want. I don't want people who have not done, like, you got to go through, you got to do your due diligence. I want you to do your nutrition first, get that handled. Get your nutrition down, cutting out your sugar, go through a challenge. Do that first if you're just starting out. Because what can happen is if you jump into this test, we're going to do it and it's going to be so messed up that we won't even know where to start. So get started with your nutrition, everything like that first. Then if you still have concerns, or you just want to know, like, I'm going to do it for myself just to make sure my health is optimized, then we can start to move on. All right. Number 1, take your LRQ. So you got your QR code, take that, see where you're at. We're going to go from there. For some people, your score is going to be pretty good. For some of you, it's going to be bad. It's just going to give you a snapshot of where you're at. It's going to give you the mile marker that you're at on the highway to health. All right. If you want the resources you want the weight loss challenge. Hey, I want that weight loss challenge. I want that fitness challenge. I want those food swap lists. I want all the recipes that you have. Go ahead and text resources to our number. If you want the testing again, text testing. So again, the 2 things are resources and testing. Pretty much everyone should be texting resources. And just the few people who wanted to look more into the testing, go ahead and test that, text that as well.
All right, what do we got?
Just came in. Heart attack. 5'9", 300 pounds, 32 years old.
How the hell does that happen?
Can I get a, Could be developing diabetes. You have to make a change. Oh, yeah.
You're graduating. Watch TV. You won't even have to leave.
You can't do this.
Yes, can I get a...
Yeah, no, deep dish.
You have to make a change. Good job, Jim. You got an A+. Here are your fries, sweetie. I still can't believe you give this child sexuals. I know. But it's the only thing that'll make him stop.
That's a hard one to watch as parents, you know. Our whole society is just like so focused on reward. If you just use food as a reward or sugar as a reward, or I'm going to eat this on vacation, we just have to change what we're doing. And that's what our network is all about. That's what Max Living is all about. Our purpose is to be the standard for natural health care, where everyone is empowered to live to their full potential. And that's what tonight's all about. It's just like, I hope that this has empowered you. I hope that this has give you confidence in you, that you can change, that you can make changes for yourself, your family, your children, your future children, your grandchildren, that you can start changing your circle of influence. And, you know, a lot of people are asking, you know, I have family members who live all over the country. Go ahead, pull out your phone, take a picture of this map. This just shows where all the Max Living offices are. If you know people, whether they live in Florida or California, Colorado, wherever, we can find them an office or a similar type office to Max Living close to them. And we can reach out, we can get them some help so that they can start taking next steps. They can start moving in the right direction. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this. If you have any questions, we can field them at your next appointment. You can also send us an email directly, which is found on our website. So again, lidditsfamilychiropractic.com. Click on our email link, which is just lidditsfamilychiropractic@gmail.com. Or you can go ahead and text your questions. But I'm just going to end here by going back to the LRQ. Please make sure to take a picture of this QR code. You don't even have to click the capture button on your camera. Just go ahead and hold your camera up. Make sure that you get the link for that. Start filling that out so you see where you're at. Start making the next best changes for you. And little by little, not only will you be healthy, but it's going to change generations and change the future. So guys, thank you for tuning in. And I really appreciate each and every one of you.